spend every Sunday just living good. Might do a little fishing, a little hunting on the weekend. With a bow I'll be sneaking back in the woods. A little bit crazy, every now and then maybe. Like to kick off my boots and get lazy, but I'm living good, yeah.
This episode of Pathfinder Outdoor Journal is being brought to you by Self-Reliance Outfitters, the Pathfinder School, Duluth Pack, Battle Horse Knives, Short Lane Arms, Lansky, Survival Resources, Carbon TV, and Survival Life.
From hunting to fishing to camping to survival, Self-Reliance Outfitters has the quality outdoor gear to help you and your family make the most of your next outdoor adventure. Visit us online at www.selfrelianceoutfitters.com. Outdoor gear for outdoor people.
At the Pathfinder School in Southeast Ohio, we train hundreds of people each year in short-term emergency survival, emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and sustainability. We train individuals, families, and groups with low instructor-to-student ratios to guarantee the best possible training environment for your money. To join us for an upcoming class, please visit our website at thepathfinderschoolllc.com.
Duluth Pack, handcrafted in Duluth, Minnesota since 1882. True outdoorsmen like Dave Canterbury have been using our canvas and leather products for over 130 years. Our American-made, time-tested craftsmanship makes Duluth Pack the only gear you'll need for your next adventure. Hunting, fishing, bushcrafting, camping, canoeing, business gear, backpacks, all this and more at duluthpack.com.
Okay, so what we got here is we got a set that deers walk through. You basically just punch it right up out of the ground. So we're going to make this thing. I got a bottle of frozen urine here, but that's okay, it'll work. We're going to clean this up, clean this set location up, clean this trap bed out a little bit, just like this. This is all really, really good. I like all this fresh dirt right here. So let's get this trap set again. Popped right on the night latch there. We're going to bed this trap back just a little ways here, right in here, in this area. And then we're going to put our bait that's fresh right in here. In the state of Ohio, you can't, if you're going to use fresh meat baits, they have to be buried. So we're going to have to bury this a little bit. But what we're going to bury it with is our peat moss, so that, number one, it should keep it from freezing up near as bad. And number two, it will help let the odor dissipate a little bit more. We don't have to have it buried real deep. We just got to have it buried. I want it to look like an animal's been in here and he's been digging around. I'm not going to bury this trap real hard either. Get a pan cover sitting on top of that real quick, or bury it too deep. Bed that thing down real good, make sure that it's not going to move if something steps on it. Just like this, and I've got it backed off just a little bit from that fresh dig where it looks like something's been in there. And I'm going to scatter some dirt around to make it dark compared to the surroundings, because I want an animal to believe that something's been in here digging around. That's exactly what I want to happen. I'll take some of this darker dirt and throw it up on top of some of the snow. I'm going to give this animal a pretty wide berth here to sniff around and dig, but I don't want to give them too big a berth either. Coyotes are kind of wary when it comes to your sets. So you really kind of, the biggest mistake I see with a lot of people that are making coyote sets, things like that, is they don't give them a big enough area to work the set. You really need to give them a pretty good size area to work this set. Now, it looks like an animal's been in here digging around, and that's exactly what I want it to look like. Okay, so we got ears, eyes, nose, lower lips all intact. So we're in good shape there. Cut a couple holes in him. He's got some matted fur and things like that, and he's got some blood on him. So really we need to take this thing down to the creek and soak it, get the blood out of it before we hang it out to dry. All right, so well, here's our coyote meat that we just cut off there. You see it's got some hair on it here and there. We can burn that hair off just by putting it in the flames like this real quick. Burn all that hair right off of there. We won't have to worry about that being in our food once we do that. You know, when I'm cooking like this, I use Old Bay seasoning quite a bit. I carry a big tin of it in my kit. And the reason I do that is because I haven't found anything it doesn't taste good on, and it's got salt and pepper in it at the same time. So it's good for smoking meat or curing meat, and it's also good in stews like this to flavor your meat. You can see, get a piece of this coyote out of here, see what that's looking like. You can see how that's cooking up. I mean, look at that. And that looks like a beautiful piece of meat right there. So we'll let that boil up a little bit more. Just keep cooking her down until she's ready to go. Battle Horse knives are heirloom quality knives, built for the outdoorsman by outdoorsmen. With years of experience, Battle Horse makes the best quality knives on the market today and stand behind their knives with a 100% lifetime guarantee. From the PLSK Scout to the Trapline Companion to the Nesmic and everything in between, Battle Horse can make a knife to fit your needs. Whether I'm hunting, fishing, trapping, or just recreational camping, a Battle Horse knife is always on my side. And short lane arms with sub-caliber adapters, they make your single shot 12-gauge shotgun a one and done for your hunting arsenal. With everything from rimfire cartridges in 22 long rifle to 17 HMR, to center fire pistol cartridges in 38 caliber to 45 ACP. The greatest versatility with the short lane arm sub-caliber adapter is in the 8-inch rifle adapter models. You can match your sidearm to your 12-gauge shotgun with an 8-inch rifle adapter to make it even more versatile than a shotgun alone.
Hi, I'm John McCann from Survival Resources. We specialize in custom survival kits, all the components necessary to build your own survival kit, and emergency preparedness products. Check us out at survivalresources.com.
A key point for us to remember when we're cooking game, especially in the wintertime, is you almost always, and I say almost always because there's always exceptions to every rule, but boiling that meat will always give you the most nutritional value you can get from that meat. And when you drink that broth, you're going to get all the vitamin nutrients that have been sucked out of the meat by the boiling process, plus any spices that you've put on the meat or in the water while you're cooking it. It's going to warm you right up. Boiling that meat is your best bet anytime. It's going to kill any pathogens that might be on that meat. It's another reason that we didn't eat any of the guts or the entrails of the coyote. Coyotes are known to carry heartworm, just like dogs. I'm not going to eat their heart, I'm not going to eat their liver, and things where diseases might be prevalent. I'm only going to eat the exterior meats of that coyote because he is a scavenger type animal. But any meat that I cook, I'm going to boil to get the most out of the nutrients and vitamins that are in that meat, and cooking it over an open fire by baking it or something like that is not going to give you that. Boiling is the only way you're going to accomplish that. Oh man, nothing wrong with that meat. I'll tell you what, you just don't know how good this coyote meat is until you've tasted it. But I can tell you now, That is a nice piece of meat. Oh yeah. That's a good piece of meat. Okay, real fast, a tip or trick for you guys. Noticed I didn't gut this animal. And the reason I didn't gut this animal was, number one, because it's going to freeze solid very quickly. So the guts aren't going to have time to decompose and taint the meat, especially the meat that's on the outside. I'm not going to eat the inside meat, inside the rib cage, the loins and things like that. I'm not going to eat that kind of stuff. I'm only going to eat this exterior meat off the haunches for the most part. Then I can come in later with an axe and cut the whole thing up to use for bait for other traps if I want to. But it keeps me from having to, number one, gut the animal to begin with, which is messy. Number two, have guts laying here on the ground, which I really don't need. And number three, if I have to gut this thing, I've got to cut through the rib cage. Then I've got to reach in there to get the guts out. And that can cause you to get cut on those broken ribs, which is something that you don't want to mess with if you don't have to. There's no reason for you to, you have to excuse my mouth's a little bit frozen, it's about -4 out right now. There's no reason for you to have to risk an injury unless it's absolutely necessary. And in this case, it's absolutely unnecessary. Get that broth out of there and drink every bit of it. It'll have all those spices in it. It'll warm you right up. Got that red pepper. It's in that Old Bay seasoning. Makes that water real warming. Get that down in your guts. I don't have to worry too much about super predators in this area of the United States anyway, but let's talk about seasonality to begin with. Right now, in southern Ohio, if there were any bears, and I've seen some, what I believe is bear sign out here in the wildlife area, but I've never seen a bear. Bears hibernate in the wintertime. They're probably not out looking for food. I'm not too worried about them smelling this frozen carcass over here, or this frozen blood on the ground. If anything comes into my camp, like a coon or a possum, or another coyote or a bobcat, I got something for them. That's more food for me. You know, I'm not worried about that in southeast Ohio. I'm thinking about the season, I'm thinking about preserving the meat, and I'm thinking about what predators or what scavengers are possibly out here that are going to come into my camp to possibly look for this meat. And there's nothing that's going to come into this camp that I can't handle very easily with a 12-gauge shotgun, and it's just going to be more food for me. So that's just a quick thought for you guys. This morning we're out setting a few snares, and you can see there's a super highway trail coming through here, and it comes over the top of this bank. It also comes down through here. There's some rabbit scat there, and there is deer tracks in here, and there are dog tracks in here, and they go straight across right here. You see where I stepped right there to another super highway going right under a fence line right here. There's a lot of animal activity right here, and that's what you're looking for if you're going to set snares. Any trap that you're going to set, you got to set sign. But snares are only going to be effective the one time you catch an animal. Then it's pretty much going to be trash. So you've got to be selective of where you put a snare. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to put a snare on this fence, and we're going to go across the trail and put a snare in there. That'll take up 2 snares. I've only got a dozen with. So I'll take 2 of them, but I'm pretty confident in both of those areas. And I'd rather set up 2 snares, one on opposite sides of this main logging trail that comes through here, this old township road that's no longer used, and take a chance on catching something coming or going, than just set one up on the fence, because it's a pretty wide opening on the fence. Deer can get underneath that very, very easily. So snaring the fence may not be the best plan. But setting up back here in the woods on a pinch point, where I know I'm going to catch something, and if a deer gets in it, he's just going to get his foot in it, rip right out of it. But a coyote or something like that, or a coon, would have to duck his head to get through it, and that's when he's going to put his head right in that snare. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Hold on, guys, I'll show you how to set that up. I've picked out a spot in the trail here where there's a tree here and a tree here. So there's kind of a forced area right here in between things. And this is where I'm going to put my snare. And I'm going to use a snare stand here for this, because I want to get this thing exactly where I want it to be. Because I want to put it kind of right in between the 2 trees. Just like this. Then I'm going to get my snare set up. And this is a bobcat snare, but it works really good for coyotes as well as raccoons. So I'll go ahead and pull that thing up about where I want it, and I'll put my whammy on the snare stand, just like this. See how big I want that snare to be? If I want that thing big enough for a coyote, it's got to be like basketball size, like this. And back it up just a little bit. Put it right center of the trail. Make sure it's even with the trail this direction. I don't want it tilted at all. I just want him to naturally walk right through it. I'm going to go ahead and wire it to a tree here real quick with a pair of side cuts. Just like this. Like that. Bend these down out of the way. It's important to get any sharp wires and things out of your way, because if the animal's in an area where he's going to get entangled when he walks through this stuff, you do not want that animal to tear up his fur. Make any final adjustments, and then I'm going to put up just a little bit of fencing. And I'm going to flag the area right out here so I know. Flag it on this branch above so that I know where my snare's at later from the trail. And now I'll just grab a couple pieces of sticks and things like that that's laying out here loose, and I'll just kind of put one here leaned against this tree in this fork. And I'll take another one that I can find dead out here, like this one, and just kind of lay it right here. Real simple, just like this. He's going to avoid this like the plague, so I don't have to worry about it once I get that in there. Now hopefully a deer is going to step over this, but we can put a tripstick in here above this to make sure if a deer does come down this trail, he steps over it. And that's the best thing for us to do. So if I can find something big enough to wedge over top of this, I'm going to put a tripstick in here as well. This week's survival tip on Pathfinder Outdoor Journal is brought to you by Carbon TV. I'm going to show you how to make a real simple traditional axe cover today out of a piece of tanned coyote hide. It won't take very long to make, doesn't take much manufacturing or sewing. You can do it very easily with the tools you carry in your 10-piece kit. So let's get on that right now. This is just a piece of coyote hide that I had that's been tanned. And I laid my axe on top of it as it would sit in here. And then I trimmed it up a little bit to get a couple fold over areas and things like that. And this. And then once I was done with that, what I did was I marked where the bottom of this blade was, and I put a slit the length of the handle in this piece of fur. And what that's going to do is allow me to do something very similar to this when I'm done. I'll be able to fold this over, fold this down, and this will be where our tie point's at to hold this thing in place. Fold your ears in. Start to draw this down. So this draws on top of this, and this draws on top of this. Wrap it around your handle, just like that. Tie it in whatever knot you prefer to tie, and you're good to go. Folks, I'm Dave Canterbury with the Pathfinder School and Pathfinder Outdoor Journal. I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this show. I hope you learned something. Do me a favor, take a child to the woods and help him gain his doctorate in woodsy knowledge. God bless you. We'll see you on the next episode of Pathfinder Outdoor Journal.